Hey there guys, how's it going, and welcome to my top 5 countdown of the worst guns in Call of Duty history. Now, from someone who's had a lot of experience in using bad weapons by getting all of them gold, I really know what I'm talking about in terms of those guns that just make you pull your hair out because they're so frustratingly bad. So there's quite a few in here, so let's start off with a few honourable mentions. The first honourable mention goes to the F2000 from Modern Warfare 2. Now, this thing not only had an ugly iron sight, and it looked quite ugly, it had a high fire rate, small magazine size, and some horrible recoil. It also had quite a lot of muzzle flash, which is the sparks that come off the end of the gun when you fire. You make it just generally difficult to use. If you could get 2 or 3 kills in one clip with this thing, that was always an achievement. So this one wasn't absolutely horrendous, but it's definitely in here as an honourable mention. Next up, the Scorpion from COD4. This weapon, although it didn't have much recoil, it wasn't very powerful over range. It took a lot of bullets over any kind of range, and also it had an extremely slow reload time, and this was one weapon that you couldn't cancel reload. That has always been an important thing called cancel reloading to speed up your reloads. You could not do that with this weapon, making it incredibly difficult to use if you run into more than one person. So the Scorpion from COD4, an honourable mention. Next we have the Executioner, which a lot of people would have number 1 as their worst Call of Duty guns of all time. However, I quite liked using this weapon. I found it fun. Yes, it's very difficult to use. Yes, it has a very limited range, but I had a lot of fun using it, and I've always kind of had a bit of a soft spot for this one. So although it was terrible and very difficult to use, I'm only sticking it in as an honourable mention. At number 5 we have the Dragunov, and this is a weapon that's been in a lot of Call of Duties. Now, to be fair, the COD4 one that I'm displaying here wasn't all that terrible, but I especially remember the Modern Warfare 3 version being horrendously bad. It's semi-automatic, but it also has a really slow fire rate, often has quite a lot of recoil, slow aim down sight time, and obviously it's very difficult to get the one-hit kill with this weapon. In some of the games, you actually need a headshot to get the one-hit kill. So, a really terrible sniper that I had a tough time getting gold, and that's never really been much fun in Call of Duty. Number 5, the Dragunov. At number 4, I've gone for the PM9 from Modern Warfare 3. This thing is kind of like a mini Uzi, but it's a bit worse than the mini Uzi in my opinion. This thing had a lot of recoil, it had higher muzzle flash, obviously like I said before, the sparks off the end of the gun, making it very difficult to see where you're aiming. It had very bad range, it had a very slow reload, and in a game where you've got incredible submachine guns such as the MP7, this just didn't make sense and was always difficult to use. So number 4, the PM9 from Modern Warfare 3. At number 3, I've decided to go with a HS-10 from Black Ops. Now, this was just a really difficult and weird gun to use. You could get it akimbo, which although that would make it, twice as deadly at close range, it really affected its range, because this weapon was a little bit better if you could aim down sight with it. It was just really difficult to use, bad range, and nothing great about it. Most shotguns that are in Call of Duty either have really good range, or they have high fire rates or something like this, but this was just horrible looking and horrible to use. So number 3, the HS-10. At number 2, you've got the MP44 from COD4, and the only real saving grace of this weapon is that it was quite high damage, especially if you compared it to some of the higher fire rate guns in that game. However, it had a terrible iron sight, probably one of the worst iron sights in Call of Duty history. You could argue the M60 was more difficult to see out of, but this had such a tiny little iron sight to look through, and it had quite a high vertical recoil, so it made it very difficult to stay on target for anyone who's further than, say, a few yards away, just extremely difficult. So that high recoil, it didn't have an incredibly fast fire rate, and it was difficult to see, and it didn't look good, and of course this gun had no attachments available as well, which made it even more difficult. So probably the least fun to use assault rifle to ever be in Call of Duty is the MP44 from COD4. At number 1, I've decided to go with the Ranger from Modern Warfare 2, and I suppose in this you could kind of include any double barrel shotgun that's ever been in Call of Duty. They're always difficult to use, some of them more fun than the others, and I think the worst double barrel shotgun was probably the Ranger. You could say the Olympia, but the Olympia was kind of good, although it was very difficult to actually be able to use it because of the 2 shots at a time. It wasn't too bad. The Ranger was the one that had obviously no range, kind of ironically compared to when you think about what its name is even. So the Ranger was just no fun. You could have it akimbo, extremely short range, only 2 shots, and an absolute nightmare to use. So that's my number 1 choice for worst Call of Duty gun of all time. So that's it for this top 5 countdown. Please don't forget to leave comments letting me know what your top 5 worst guns of all time are, or just suggesting some that I missed out that you would have in your top 5. Don't forget to smash the like button as well. Really appreciate all the support for these videos. And if you're after some decent deals, like they've got some really cheap deals on Xbox Live membership and PC games, check out the G2A links under the stream. I'll see you next time.